It's time for the OSAA playoffs here at Couch's Court after a great regular season in which the South Eugene Axe went 20-5 and won the Southwest Conference. They will now host the Sunset Apollos, the number 23 seed in the first round of the OSAA. Trying to earn a tournament berth for the first time in several years.
Yeah, totally, Sean. When you get past the regular season and you get to that point of just playing for the next game, the intensity cranks up to a whole nother level. And as we're sitting here calling the game, it's going to be energy-packed, and it's going to be a fun game to watch.
Pleased to have you here on the NFHS Network. Stay tuned with us all night. For right now, we're going to take a break for the national anthem.
Ladies and gentlemen, we ask that you rise at this moment as we honor America with the playing of our national anthem.
Great rendition of the national anthem, and now it's just about go time here inside Couch's Court, inside South Eugene High School. Number 10 South Eugene Axe taking on the number 23 Sunset Apollos. The first round matchup here between the two teams in purple. Ready to meet starters for these two squads tonight. Let's go ahead and start with the Sunset Apollos. Their point guard, number 2, the 5'10 senior guard, court, the 5'10 senior guard, Braden Sato. A wing, Reese Ahrens, the 6'1 senior. And then rounding out the rest of the starting lineup, number 20, Tate Reese, the 6'4 junior. And then Kel Estep, a 6'3 junior. And that's your starting lineup for the Sunset Apollos. Let's go ahead and meet your starting lineup for the South Eugene Axe. 20-5 regular season, 9-1 conference champions, coming in as the 10th seed, led by Dave Hancock in his 19th season. Normal starters, it appears, for the South Eugene Axe. Your point guard is Sam Harris, the 5'10 senior. Alongside him in the backcourt is number 15, Bryce Betcher, the 6'2 senior forward. Then you have Josh Paul, the 6'4 senior. Rounding out the rest of the starting lineup, Jarrett Bryant, the 6'4 junior, the lone junior in the starting lineup. And then up top for the South Eugene Axe is Eden Clark, the 6'8 senior. Ian, what are your keys to this game as both teams, as I mentioned, scrapping to try to advance to the second round?
I want to see a big game out of Aiden Clark and really just try to impose his will on a much shorter Sunset team. And Aiden Clark stands at 6'8", and this Sunset starting lineup, just by the looks of it, doesn't have anyone who can seemingly vertically match up with him. So I think that's going to be a big key for South Eugene, and then just playing with pace as Sam Harris always does, really just dictating the tempo of the game and the way South Eugene wants to play.
Now there is quite a height discrepancy in these two lineups, as the jump ball will be easily won by Aiden Clark over the 6'4 Reese. And there's an easy bucket to start this game off. Jarrett Bryant gets things started for the South Eugene Axe, and we're underway between the team in South Eugene wearing all white, and Sunset getting the purple jerseys. There's a stuff by Paul and Clark, both getting their hands on that one. Now transition play. Paul feeds Clark down low. Cutter, Harris finds Bryant down low, who puts it in for two.
Sunset seems a little scrambled on defense, not really sure if they know who they're matched up on quite yet.
Here's a driving Sato. He was contested, but he's able to swish it in. Now here comes South Eugene in transition. Betcher stops on a dime. Beautiful bounce pass over to Clark. Elevates, can't put it in.
Good look down low for the big fella. Get him touches early.
A step running down floor, finds his man Ahrens, who's money from the left wing. Three-pointers good from Sunset, and now they're up by 3. There's Josh Paul putting South Eugene back up 1. It was the Sunset 1-point lead, my apologies. Now it's a South Eugene 1-point lead as Josh Paul scoops his way to the bucket. Beautiful spin move, Sato, high arcing jumper, no good. Rebound corralled by Bryce Betcher. Here comes Sam Harris. Fast-paced play so far. Harris gets past his man, Tough fall-away shot, gets it to go. Back the other way, Vernon guarded closely by Bryant. Now here's Ahrens, out to his man Reese. Reese scoops around a screen, and now they're gonna restart it with Sato. Sato with the left. Once again, Sam Harris with the steal. Here he goes in transition, gets bumped, loses the ball. Bryant corrals it and puts it back up for two. Jarrett Bryant with 6 points so far, Ian.
A lot of physicality early on the play, but the refs are letting him play. Like I said, the intensity switches up a notch.
Left wing, ball with a step. Gets past his defender, and a step with a nifty move to kiss it off the glass and in.
So far early, a lot of high-paced offense, not a lot of defense.
Clark down low, has a mismatch. Now outside, Jarrett Bryant gets a look from three, and he's hot early. Jarrett Bryant with 9 points here in the first 2.5 minutes.
Virtually no closeout on Bryant right there. An easy warm-up jump shot for him. He had all the time in the world.
13-7 South Eugene. Ball back outside. There's an open look for three. Eli Vernon knocks it down.
This game is played at an incredible pace early here so far. Just 3 minutes in.
High scoring early on as Bryant was looking to continue his hot start. He missed the reverse layup. Now Vernon one-on-one, slowed down on Paul. Great defense from Paul. Tipped out of bounds. It's going to stay with the Apollos. Man, chance to catch our breath.
Yeah, 23 combined points in just the first 3 minutes and 8 seconds. That's high-paced offense so far.
Now both these teams offensively average 62 points apiece. Vernon down low, finds Sato. Fall away jump shot from the right corner, no good. Clark corrals the rebound. Now Harris looking to push the pace. Scoots past his defender, stops on a dime, jump shot from the right side, won't fall. Betcher grabs an offensive rebound. Clark down low, Paul, power dribble up, and he got fouled. Made his man jump in the air, and Josh Paul had the line for two.
Really crisp pass down low. Defenders had no chance to get a hand in front of it. Aiden Clark really just rifled it in there.
Now this is a South Eugene team, Ian, who is just on a mission this postseason. They have 4 out of their 5 starters being seniors. The only one being Jarrett Bryant. And first free throw off from Josh Paul. But Jarrett Bryant's the only junior, the only non-senior in the starting lineup. The rest are seniors. And that just speaks to their motivation to try to make a run to the Child Center for the first time since 2013, 2014.
Jarrett Bryant is playing like he wants to keep his teammates alive for one more game. He's playing with a spark early.
Josh Paul lays it in on the other side after Jarrett Bryant grabs the steal. And now an over and back called on Sunset for their 3rd turnover of the day.
Very timely and good executed trap from South Eugene right there. Stopped him right before he was about to cross the timeline.
South Eugene doing a great job defensively right now. Up 15-10. They've forced 3 turnovers already today. Here's Josh Paul, finds a cutting Betcher. Now Betcher is going to muscle into his man and put it up and in. He says, I may be going to Oregon for baseball, but I was a football player too. Let me show you.
Yeah, you could really see the physicality on display there. South Eugene stays in this little half-court trap. Nifty finish.
Nifty finish indeed. Kella Step puts it in. He's now got 4 points to lead the Apollos. 3-pointer off from South Eugene, and now it's going to be a foul on South Eugene.
See if Sunset can get something going here on offense. Executing early, but had trouble these last couple possessions getting something going.
Braden Sato with 2 points so far tonight. Has the ball in his hands. Now with a step, team's leading scorer. Sato uses the screen, free up space. Now Ahrens. Slips past his defender, kick it back out. Sunset swings it around. A step gets a good look from 3, and he'll knock it down.
Good defensive rotations right there from South Eugene, but better ball movement. Shows really the speed of the pass versus the speed of the feet.
Kella Step, a key player for this team all season long. being key right now. 7 points for a step, and there's the first turnover of the day for South Eugene. Good look at a free throw jumper for Reese, and then he threw it away instead. Well, here's the first subs of the day. Sunset will make them. Connor Stevens comes in for Eli Vernon. 15-11, South Eugene with the upper hand right now. 2:35 left to play here in the first quarter. Josh Paul slips through his screen, gets an open look from the right side from three, no good. Rattles off the backboard and ends in the hands of the Sunset player. Now a step, crafty, behind the back move, turned it over. Excuse me, 17-15, the current score. South Eugene up 2.
Fans have really piled in, made a good atmosphere here tonight at Cooch's Court for this first round playoff matchup.
2 minutes, 20 seconds left to play in this highly contested first quarter. Ball is tipped out of bounds. It's going to stay with South Eugene. Sam Harris, a guy who's one of the 4 main seniors for this South Eugene team, and he's going to get a lot of accolades for his performance so far this season, but maybe most notably, he was nominated as a McDonald's All-American last game as Josh Paul is heading the line for 2. They gave him a big plaque, and alongside his senior night celebration, he received the McDonald's All-American game nominee from his coach, Dave Hancock.
That is really an award and an honor that not a lot of people can say they have received, and it just goes to show hard work, dedication to your craft. The results will pay off, and Sam Harris with a good start tonight, really dictating the pace of play for South Eugene. Always has his eyes up, trying to get his teammates involved.
Now Josh Paul, despite having 4 points so far tonight, 0 for 3 at the line. Now 0 for 4.
The close miss, though. Looks good. He held his follow through. He'll get the next one.
2 minutes left to go. Another turnover for Sunset. Bryant steals it away, finds his man, Sam Harris, cutting to the basket, who got fouled on his way up. They call it a blocking foul. It's going to go under the hoop, it appears. No, Harris is going to have 2 free throws. So Jarrett Bryant, not only the leading scorer right now for this team, 9 points tonight, but forcing turnovers defensively, grabbing steals, and sending up his teammates.
South Eugene is playing with a lot of energy. They have active hands. They're high hands on closeouts. They're really playing with an edge on defense and came out with a spark, really trying to set a mentality on that side of the ball.
Vernon back in for Sato. Harris, pretty second free throw, goes for 2 for 2 on that trip. Makes it 19-15 now. Ball with Stevens. Finds his way to the basket. Goes right to left and gets fouled along the left side. Now Stevens is going to go to the line for 2. Connor Stevens, a 6'2 junior forward. Knocks down the first. So you look at Sunset's season so far this year, 12 in the regular season. They went 6-6 in conference play to finish fourth in the Metro League, a stacked conference, and they were picked to finish 5th before the season. They ended up edging out Beaverton for that 4th spot. As Stevens no good from the second free throw. Eugene ball in their hands. Paul with a beautiful bounce pass to his man Bryant, who's now in double digits for the Axe. 11 points for Bryant.
Bryant and Paul really seem to have a really good, keen feel for playing with each other. Always seem to be in the right place at the right time, setting each other up for plays.
Another turnover by Sunset. Paul a little out of control. Nonetheless, finds his man Bryce Betcher and forces a timeout by Sunset. Bryce Betcher up to 4 points on the day, and South Eugene getting contributions from all sorts of players. led by Jarrett Bryant, who's really came together down the stretch. He has had himself quite a few games. He was the leading scorer against Sheldon. He was the leading scorer the other day against Grants Pass. He's had a terrific couple of games, and now he's shelling out in the playoffs. And here's a guy who is a junior. He's really the future of this program for at least one more year, and he's really peaked at the right time this year.
Yeah, he's, like I said earlier, he's really playing, like you said, peaking at the right time. He wants to keep all his senior teammates' seasons and basketball, careers alive, and he's playing with the spark tonight, really trying to, unite this team.
Back underway after a quick 30-second timeout. Eli Vernon slips around a screen. Quick hesitation move. Beautiful no-look pass to Stevens. Paddled around, and it's going to be South Eugene's ball.
It's so easy just to think you have an open look, and then the big, long arms of Aiden Clark come in and say, no, not today.
He's quite the rim protector. 23-16. 50 seconds left to go in the first. It's been a great first quarter so far. You wouldn't expect anything less in the OSA playoffs. Harris, no good. Once again, Jarrett Bryant steals it away, forces a turnover, and then lasers it down low to Bryce Betcher, who lays it in for two. 25 points already in the quarter for South Eugene. Great offensive quarter as Betcher with great defense and the rebounds. 20 seconds to work with. Betcher over to Harris. Will they hold for one? Looks like Hancock is telling his team to do so. 8 seconds left. Harris got to work. 5 seconds. Couple nifty dribbles. And Harris held it for too long. That's a costly mistake by him. Second turnover of the day, and now Sunset will have a chance with 5.6 seconds left.
Took a little too much time setting up his move on the isolation. The defender for Sunset was within close enough reach that the referee called the 5-second call.
5 seconds. Braden Sato got to go. Harris tipped it away. Now a step gets a look. No good from range. And that's going to do it for the end of the first quarter. Your score, South Eugene 25 and Sunset 16. It's been a great matchup so far. South Eugene has really looked flawless so far tonight. They've played great defense. They've forced 7 turnovers already, but I think most notably their offense has been absolutely exceptional. Jarrett Bryant leading the way with 11 points, but Bryce Betcher, Sam Harris, Josh Paul, they've all contributed so far. I think Dave Hancock has to be really happy with the way this team's playing.
I would totally agree, Sean. I think the way that Sam Harris really can dictate the pace of play and just kind of get the offensive looks that his team needs, I think that's been really key. And we've talked about it all night. Jarrett Bryant playing with a ton of energy, a ton of just tenacity, and he's really been the key factor offensively and defensively, just a spark plug for the South Eugene team.
Jarrett Bryant has had several steals. I'd count about 3, and then he's had 11 points by our count as well. So he's really showed up tonight. And you look at these two teams, they've both played several mutual opponents so far this season. We'll start with Southridge, who Sunset went 2-0 against in league play, while South Eugene beat them in the preseason 84-64. Both teams played West Salem. South Eugene lost to West Salem on the first game of the season, while Sunset beat them by 15, so that one favors Sunset. Both teams played Lincoln and beat them pretty favorably. Sunset won that one in their first game of the season, as the shot is no good from Sunset. Bryant corrals the rebound, while South Eugene beat Lincoln by 15, and wow, what a pass over to Aiden Clark, and now he's on the board with his first points. And then the last mutual opponent these two teams have played is North Medford, and this one, probably the weirdest one. Sunset lost to them by 3 points, while South Eugene had a weird year against North Medford. They beat them at home 62-56, and then they lost to them on the road. So there's a foul called, 39-78, and that was really their one outlier. That was their only loss in Southwest Conference play. So a lot of mutual opponents. Not to mention these two teams played each other earlier this season, with South Eugene getting the 10-point win on December 28th. 27-16 here early in the second quarter.
There seems to be no let-up from South Eugene. The intensity is still there. Sunset really playing a roll on offense.
Aarons gets a look from 3, high archer, and it rattles in.
He's hit a couple threes tonight. He could be a key player in getting them back into this game.
Betcher, beautiful cutting move. Navigates his way to the basket for an easy reverse layup.
That was a really nice give and go pass right there from Aiden Clark.
Another open look for South Eugene. This one's off from Tate Reese from 3. Now here comes Sam Harris dashing down floor. Alley-oop attempt. Aiden Clark just chucked it towards the backboard. Vernon back out. Sato. Beautiful skip pass over to a step. No good from the right corner 3. Paul tries rising up for the rebound. Didn't have positioning. Now back out a step, and this time Paul grabs it.
Good close out there from Clark. Those long arms really just make a difference whether he gets close at all. It's just an intimidation factor.
Bryant on the right wing. Now high post with Aiden Clark. He was surveying, and instead now he's just going to take a free throw line jumper and knock it down, showing his versatility.
Kind of looking to pass there, and he said, well, nobody can contest me up here if I just shoot the jumper, and simply just rose up.
Aaron step back 3, no good, but a little contact after the shot, and looks like he's going to the line for 3 shots. Not the mistake you want if you're South Eugene. There's been a couple of issues they've had in the last couple of minutes. I mean, you have a favorable lead here in the first round of the playoffs, but on one side, you throw an alley-oop to Aiden Clark when he really had no chance at that, and then now you're fouling the three-point shooter, Aarons, on a rather contested three-point shot. Not something Dave Hancock would be happy with.
No, I agree. I think they just need to slow down, play with a little bit more pace. You know, an alley-oop sure would have electrified the crowd, but I think maybe Clark in that situation, just come down with it, get the easy layup. No one on the Sunset is close to contesting your shots. So just keep playing physical and play smart.
Now we're in the second quarter, about 2 minutes in, and we have the first sub of the day for South Eugene. It is Dylan Edwards coming in for Jarrett Bryant, getting Bryant a well-deserved rest. Down low, beautiful backdoor cut off the nice pass from Aiden Clark, and Dylan Edwards gets rewarded for that cut. Couldn't put it in, but he's going to the line for 2. Dylan Edwards, another senior for this team, who will be leaving after this season. He's played a nice 6-man role for this team all season long, and he had a huge shot against Sheldon in a very closely contested game. Ian, I believe you were on the call.
I was just about to bring up that shot. Yes, he was kind of the unsung hero of that game. The defense really left him wide open and ended up being the game-winning shot in a crosstown rivalry game, which is something he will never forget, I'm sure.
0 for 2 at the line that time. Good ball movement here from Sunset. Tough left-handed shot. Double clutch from Vernon. And now Betcher grounds the rebound, and they'll walk it up. Down low, Aiden Clark. Mismatch once again. And he looks for a cutting Josh Paul. Couldn't find him. So far, South Eugene doing a great job moving away from the ball, finding the open man as well. We've seen a lot of backdoor cuts work to South Eugene's favor. I think Sunset's starting to pick up on it a little bit.
Yeah, and they've really effectively been using Aiden Clark as kind of the catalyst for all these passes.
On that inbounds play, they try a little alley-oop to Aiden Clark, who tried just one-timing it to lay it in. Couldn't quite put it in. Betcher wrestled in for the rebound, couldn't get it in. And now Sunset's ball.
Sunset really needs to see if they can get something going on offense. Get some productive looks, some driving kick looks like they were getting early in the first quarter when this game was back and forth.
A step, a scooting past Betcher. Betcher right on him. Aarons now with the ball, gets past Harris. Aarons floats in the air and kisses it in.
Good, strong, aggressive take right there. Not afraid of Clark's presence at the rim as a shot blocker.
Harris, beautiful bounce pass down low to Bryce Betcher. Betcher now with 10 points. New sub in, it's Zupancic. Now ball in the hands of Aarons. Leading scorer tonight for Sunset. Zupancic scoots past Bryant, earns the N1. That foul is going to go against Jarrett Bryant, his second on the day. Panchik unable to get the and one free throw to go after some goat noises in the background.
There's some odd noise coming from the South Eugene student section. The ultimate distraction proved to work, though.
33-25 midway through the second quarter, and there's a deep three from Sam Harris.
Sitting just at 5'10", he gets up so high on his jump shot, really creating a high release point. Hard to get a hand up there. And
second chance opportunity after Sunset misses the three. He's Zupanchik, once again getting past Bryant. Bryant was there. Harris, 3 on 4. They don't have numbers. Harris, Sunset thought he traveled. Instead he gets to the Clark, and now he'll restart. High post for Bryant, back out, Edwards, right corner three, arcing, no good. And a foul is called off South Eugene. Too much physicality going for the offensive board. That's going to go against Jarrett Bryant. He's now got 3.
Yeah, he's got to play a little smart, you know. He just kind of took a hack at the back of the body of the Sunset player. It's not a play you want to make, especially in a playoff game where your team needs you and you've been playing so well.
So Josh Paul will come in for him. Oscar James will also come in for Bryce Betcher. Reese throws it away once again. Here comes Josh Paul. Gets past Ahrens, and Ahrens tells him back after Paul beat him. And now it's going to be a ball under the floor for South Eugene. 6 team fouls on South Eugene, 5 team fouls on Sunset. Approaching 1-1 here late in the first half. Left wing with James. South Eugene with a couple subs in after they've really been going with their starters all game long. Left wing, open 3. That's good. Dylan Edwards knocks it down, and there's some contribution off the bench from Edwards. Give him 3 points. Now up top with Reese. Ball ends up in the left corner with a step. Nice skip pass, right corner 3, and that one won't fall for Vernon. Now here comes Sam Harris. 3 on 3. Ahrens chases him down. Harris tries clawing for it, but he gave it away. Now Sunset in transition. A step finds his spot from 3 and knocks it down.
Sunset early was hitting from 3, and then they got out of it towards the kind of end of the first quarter, but they've started to hit a couple shots from outside.
A step and Ahrens now with 10 points each to lead the Apollos. 1:50 left to go in the first half. 39-28. South Eugene holds an 11-point lead.
Good pass. Good big pass. First time they got picked.
Double team comes on Clark, and he threw it away. Second turnover in a row for South Eugene. A step pulls up again. No good. Rebound, fought for, goes to South Eugene. Now trotting it up is Sam Harris. Takes a tough shot, and it's a fadeaway, and it's good from the left corner.
That is a difficult off-balance shot with a hand right in your face.
Timeout taken by South Eugene. It's been a really, really impressive offensive game. As I think they're deciding if this was the right time for a timeout. I think there's some kind of technicality with the subs coming in. And it looks like they won't have a timeout. Not really sure what happened there. 2 subs were waiting to come in. Dave Hancock called for a timeout. And then Sunset said, not sure you're allowed to take a timeout. Not sure why. But nonetheless, it looks like they won't have time to talk things over. They'll be able to do that in 1:25, as that's the amount of time left until halftime. 41-28, South Eugene up 13. A step, Crafty behind the back, kick out. Stevens has an open look from the left corner for 3, no good. Now here comes Harris. 9 points tonight for the star point guard. Edwards Tries using a screen from Josh Paul. Freed up some space. Got bumped on his way to the basket, and it's going to be on the ground foul against Sunset. There's 6, team foul.
Underneath.
So now Dave Hancock will take the timeout. Wants to talk things over with 55.4 seconds left. But, Ian, I didn't really expect to walk into this impressive of an offensive game. You'd figure neither of these teams too impressive offensively. They each average 62 points per game. And usually playoffs, you intensify your defense a little bit more. And not that hasn't happened, but, man, South Eugene is scoring however they want tonight. You look at the stats, Bryce Betcher, a guy that is already in double digits. That's something you didn't get from him all season long, at least in the first half. Jared Bryant with 11 points. Sam Harris with 9 points. And then on the other side, Sunset has 2 guys in double digits. So a lot of scoring, really fun basketball to watch, really fun basketball to broadcast, and you wouldn't expect anything less from the OSAA playoffs.
No, you really wouldn't. We saw the intensity early on in the first quarter, teams going back and forth with a lot of high-octane offense, and it was very fun, fast-paced basketball. And then both teams really turned it up on the defensive level. And South Eugene, more so than Sunset, has just really been able to keep this intensity maintained on the defensive end. And I think that's been the key for them, kind of keeping and slowly expanding on their lead.
45 seconds left in the first half. Here's Edwards. Finds Oscar James in the right wing. James finds his spot, now finds a cutting Paul. Reverse layup is in.
So patient on offense. It's like they know they wanted that look from the get-go, but
up top, Eli Vernon tries kicking it out to Panchik, and it's tipped away from Oscar James. 23.9 left. We'll see if Sunset holds for one. Here's a step, finds his spot, one dribble, pull up 3, and it's money, and he holds the follow through. The step's been hot, he's got 13. Sam Harris working with 5 seconds. Harris, long 2, swish. Full court shot goes off the top of the backboard, and that's going to do it for your first half, the first round of the OSAA playoffs. Your score, South Eugene 45. Welcome back inside Cooch's court. Sean McPherson and Ian Johnson here with you on the FHS Network. South Eugene versus Sunset. So far, South Eugene up 14 points here in the first round of the OSAA playoffs. By the way, the winner of this game will take on the winner of number 7 Lake Oswego and number 26 Cleveland, a game that's happening down in Lake Oswego right now, or I should say up in Lake Oswego. And I guess we're starting the first half with some technical free throws. Kella Step with a free shot. Now, I'm not sure if you saw anything, Ian, but I don't really know
I did not
if
see
something
anything.
happened at halftime. Step goes 1 for 2 at the line. So 45 to 32.
Now it's their ball, too.
So we just got word that a player on South Eugene apparently dunked the ball in warm-ups, granting the technical foul and the 2 free throws for Sunset.
Interesting. Thanks for the insight, Ian. Only cost South Eugene 1 point. Here's Sato up top. The official start of the second half after Sunset just gets a free 1 point. And now Aarons glides to the bucket and puts it in. And Sunset starts with 3 points. 45 to 34. Get it back within 11. Bryant loses it, turns it over.
The intensity is picking up for Sunset. The bench energy, the defense, everything's looking like they got an extra pep in their step. Let's see if they can keep this rolling.
Eli Vernon will walk it up. Tell you what, Sunset would love to just get in South Eugene's head a little bit, pick up some momentum to start the second half. They're under the mindset that they lost the first half by 14. It's a fresh half. They can come out hot, and they can do some things. That was the shot they wanted. A step from the right wing. No good. Wide open. It was short. Now they get a second chance. Sano using a screen. Contested jumper. It falls. So 6-0 run to start. Or 5-0 run, excuse me, to start the second half. There's a tough fadeaway jumper from Sam Harris. Won't fall. Sunset feeling good right now.
Yeah, early shots in the offense for South Eugene. Not really looking for the same, backdoor paced offensive looks they were getting in the first half.
45-36. Sunset's cut it back within 9. They were down 14 at halftime.
Exactly what they wanted to do. Start the half with a spark.
A step up top. Now Sato working on Harris. Sato, pull up three. Money! 8-0 run to start the second half for the Sunset Apollos. And now the team in purple getting loud here in Cooch's court. 45-39. They've made this thing a ball game right away. And South Eugene had to be going into the locker room with confidence, but you can't get hesitant, or you can't get complacent is the better word in the OSAA playoffs or in any postseason. And I'm not saying South Eugene gets complacent, but Sunset goes in the locker room and they talk things over. They find a newfound confidence, and they suddenly start with an 8-0 run to start the second half.
Yeah, Sunset was going to come out looking to make a punch, looking to really catch South Eugene off guard, and I think they did that. I think South Eugene, they're not probably playing with the same intensity they are when they first came out of the locker room, and I think that's what Hancock is talking to his players about right now. This is a playoff game in front of your home fans, and it's not something that is going to come again. So, play with the lead, get back to what we were doing in the first half, and things will, hopefully go in the right direction.
Could also give you a little taste of what Hancock had to be telling his guys in that huddle. Things went so well in the first half. Everything was so easy. 45 points. Get everything in the bucket. Keep going. Keep doing that. Attack the basket and get those easy layups. That's exactly what Josh Paul just tried doing. Couldn't quite get it. Grabs the offensive rebound and finds a cutting. Jarrett Bryant, which halts the run. Now right side. That's Reese kicking it out. A step. Now back out. Sato. Working on Harris. Finds his spot, pull up jumper, and Sato's feeling it.
Very impressive. Just stopped on a dime, kind of let Harris fly by, and he just rose up for the jumper. Tough shot right there.
Betcher finds Harris in the backdoor cut, who spins it in.
Good offensive set right there from South Eugene. Got the look they wanted.
Fast-paced play. Sato already by the basket. He'll kick it back out. Ball's turned over. Now here comes South Eugene on the fast break. Harris double teamed. Got to find somewhere. A step takes it away, and Harris fouls him. Sunset not only offensively hitting some miraculous shots, but defensively they're really getting in South Eugene's face. They're really starting to make some plays. And as a result, they're down just 8.
Yeah, really, there's a really smart, effective trap right there on Sam Harris. He really did not know what to do with the ball when he saw 2 purple jerseys in front of him and no white flashing towards him.
Sato, heat check, no good. Bryant corrals the board. 5 minutes left to work with, 49-41. South Eugene had a 14-point halftime lead. It's back down to 8. Paul, no good from 3. Offensive rebounds. Rising up for an alley-oop is Aiden Clark. It rattles in and out. And it looks like that's going to be a foul on the offensive rebound, or rather on the alley-oop against a step on Aiden Clark.
Keep it low on the double if you put on the dribble instead of putting the ball over your head.
And the first free throw rattles in and out.
Both coaches going over assignments with their star guards. Showing the free throw.
1 for 2 at the line from Clark. He's now got 5 points. 4:50 left in the third quarter. 50-41 your score. And there's an offensive foul. Turnover against Sunset. That foul goes against number 2, Eli Vernon. His second. foul on Sunset here early in the second half. See if South Eugene can break this thing back open. Betcher, left corner, Paul, laser pass down to Bryant, and Jarrett Bryant has been getting whatever he wants down low. 15 for him. A step, open look from 3, off the back iron, no good. Tangle for the rebound, sends Vernon back down to the floor, and the foul's called against Aiden Clark.
That offensive set, that previous offensive set from South Eugene looked very similar to what they were getting and running in the first half. And if they can get back to that, this game with the lead they have is theirs to lose, I should say.
Here's Sato working around a couple of South Eugene players. Ball gets tipped out of bounds, but Ian, you got to think about what this South Eugene offensive game plan is. And you look at the rosters and you look at the heights on these players. South Eugene has several players that are as tall, if not more tall, than Sunset's tallest player. I mean, Jarrett Bryant, who's been getting whatever he wants down low, as tall as Sunset's tallest player. As there's a fast break. Bryce Betcher, little showtime South Eugene, as there's a beautiful fast break for Bryce Betcher.
That was a great look. South Eugene really, really effective in transition, especially with Sam Harris at the helm. Really good at just running with his eyes up.
Turnover off South Eugene, but continuing my point from earlier, Jarrett Bryant 6'4", which matches the tallest Sunset player out on the floor, as is Josh Paul. He's also 6'4", and then you have Aiden Clark, who's 6'8", so he towers above every Sunset player. So why not use that in a playoff game when you have that huge advantage over Sunset?
Aiden Clark to the South Eugene offense is he's a really good, extra swing pass guy, and he's effective when needed down low and can hit a jump shot. But really, his presence is felt on the defensive end of the ball.
He just did what he does best right there, getting a hand up, if not blocking the shot, and disturbing opposing offenses. He just showed that right there. Bryce Betcher couldn't quite get it to fall, but he straps for the offensive rebound. It's going to stay with the jump ball with South Eugene. Josh Paul grabs an open look off the inbounds play from the left corner. 3, no good. Or won't take it, excuse me. Nice ball movement, back out. Betcher has a 3, he cans it.
Really, really good inside-outside play right there from South Eugene. The double down came, and Aiden Clark threw the pass out to Betcher before the defense could collapse.
Just like that, South Eugene now has a bigger lead than they had at halftime. 57-41. Jump ball off some great defense by the Axe. It's going to stay with Sunset this time. Dylan Edwards comes in. Jarrett Bryant will take a seat. Just 2 subs utilized so far for South Eugene tonight. It's the 2 guards, Dylan Edwards and Oscar James. So a lot of minutes for the starters tonight. Sato working around Harris down low. A step, had an open look from 3, but he couldn't quite hold on to the ball, and there's a turnover for Sunset.
That is a play a Step will want back, especially with the way he's been shooting the ball tonight. That was going to be a good look at a catch-and-shoot 3, and the ball just slipped right out of his hands.
Little half-court trap look for Sunset. Josh Paul, as a result, has an open jumper, and he knocks it down from about the free throw line.
Great patience on his play right there from South Eugene. Didn't let the trap phase him. Passed the ball around, got the look they wanted.
Sunset better respond if they want to come back in this thing. 59-41. Aarons had his 3-pointer blocked. It's going to stay with Sunset after a scrap for the rebound. And now a timeout taken by the Sunset Apollos. They want to talk things over. But when you look at this Sunset history so far, they're looking to get back to the state tournament, which, as everyone knows, you have to win 2 games to make it to the state tournament. These are basically just play-in games to make it to the real deal, where the final 8 will play at the Child Center. But when you look at previous Sunset years, they lost in the first round last year, as well as the year before that. No playoffs in 2016-17. They lost in the first round back in 15-16. No playoffs in 14-15. And the last time they made it to that state tournament was 13-14. Meanwhile, for South Eugene, who probably has a little bit more of a reasonable chance given the ranking to make it to the state tournament this year. They lost in the second round last year to Oregon City. They had a lot of players sick, and they lost that one pretty badly, 48-29. The year before that and the year before that, they lost in the first round, as well as the year before that. And then back in 2014-15, and there's a three by Tate Reese. 2014-15 was the last time South Eugene earned a trip to the playoffs. They came oh so close to winning it all. Ended up losing the semifinals to West Lynn, a stacked team with West Lynn with Peyton Pritchard. But they ended up winning the elimination tournament, or the consolation tournament. So 4-1 last time they made the state tourney, but looking to get back there for the first time since 2015.
Yeah, I know. Both teams with big playoff implications. Obviously, that's the goal when you start the season, is to get to the big dance and give yourself a win and a shot at the state tournament. But to get to the state tournament, and like you said, to get to the trial centers, the game starts here. And Sunset, we saw early, came out with that 8-0 run, but South Eugene has really kind of took control over the game and really, has not let up as they're implementing the half-court trap right now. Up 17.
Clark gets a paw on the ball and forces a turnover. Josh Paul gets nifty across half court. South Eugene barely gets it over. Paul nearly turned it over. Harris with a deep three, no good. Now another turnover. South Eugene using their length defensively to force some turnovers.
Really good at reading the eyes of these Sunset ball handlers and kind of knowing and dictating where these passes are going to go. Using the long arms and just simply leaping up, making the play.
Aarons tips it out of Josh Paul's hands, but it falls out of bounds. It's going to stay with South Eugene. Eli Ferdinand will come back in for Sunset. A couple Sunset players will take a seat. Also back in for the Apollos is Connor Stevens, wearing number 33. Minute 17 left to go in the third quarter, 61-44. South Eugene had a 14-point lead at halftime. They got it back down to 8, did Sunset, and now it's back up to 17 for South Eugene. So a game of peaks and valleys for the most part. Clark had it poked away. Betcher comes flying in to maintain possession for South Eugene.
Great hustle play right there from Betcher, getting his team an extra possession.
There's a foul on Sunset after Josh Paul is just trying to take care of the ball. But I tell you what, Bryce Betcher having one of his better offensive games so far of the season tonight. 15 points is tied with Jarrett Bryant for the team high tonight and the game high as well. But he's known for making those hustle plays. That's the reason he gets all these minutes. He makes the hustle plays. He makes the physicality plays. Not usually known as there's a three for Sam Harris. Not usually known for scoring the ball, but he's taking advantage of a height advantage that he has tonight.
Yeah, he's playing physicality. We brought up earlier, he played high school football, and even though he's a baseball commit to UO, it seems like he's gimping a little bit right now, which is not a good sign. But he has played with a ton of energy tonight, really gotten good looks on these backdoor cuts, and like I said, the limp, we hope he's okay.
Maybe just taking a knee to the thigh, never know.
Yeah, believe me, former basketball player, that's a common occurrence.
34.7 seconds left. Bryce Betcher will remain in. Doesn't seem like anything too serious. 64-44. Sunset would love to end the quarter on a good note if they're going to come back in this thing. Sato working off his screen. Little hesitation move. Gets it poked away. Clark pokes it into the air. And now looks like South Eugene will have the last shot. Looking to grow their lead into the fourth quarter. Josh Paul, tough turnaround jumper off the back iron. Betcher floats in for the rebound and turns it over.
Basketball is a team game. There's 10 guys on the court. But an individual matchup to keep your eye on in this fourth quarter is Braden Sato and Sam Harris. A lot of physicality back and forth between them. I've seen a little bit of lip jawing, and that could be something to keep an eye on in the fourth quarter.
4.7 seconds left. Sunset has to go the full length of the court. Aarons with the ball. Pass over to Zupanchik. Three-pointers off the front rim. And that's going to do it for the third quarter. Your score, South Eugene 64, Sunset 44. It's going to be a monumental task if Sunset wants to come back and win this thing on the road against the number 10 South Eugene Axe. So far, South Eugene living up to their Southwest Conference championship or Southwest Conference champion title. Playing a great game so far. This is a team that got really hot in the middle of the year. They had a rough start to the year, and that kind of explains their loss to West Salem when Sunset beat West Salem, and it explains some of their losses. How the fact that they started slow. They started 2-3. Then they put together 13 straight wins, and they basically only lost one game. They did only lose one game. They were undefeated in most of league play, ended up losing a bad one at North Medford. But other than that, this team over the past 2 months has been pretty flawless. And they lost an out-of-conference game to Churchill, and they lost to North Medford. But those are like their only 2 losses in about the last 2 months. So they've been playing really hot.
Yeah, and this is, we talked about it all night. To get to the next game and advance to the next round, that is all you're living for right now. You're not living for a record or a seed or anything like that. You're just living to make it game by game. And I think they really bought into that, and they clicked at the right time. And, we talked about it all night. A senior-heavy team that, they don't want their season to be done quite yet. And it's looking like with a 20-point lead at the end of the fourth quarter, they're going to have one more day to stay alive.
Harris tried threading the needle over to Edwards. Ball was paddled around off both bodies, but it goes off Dylan Edwards as a turnover to start the quarter for South Eugene. Their 9th. 20-point deficit for the Sunset Apollos. Here's Ahrens working off a screen. Ahrens up and under, nifty move. Now a whistle. Looks like there's some blood on the hand of Josh Paul. Got to get that taken care of. And Jarrett Bryant will check back in for South Eugene. Full court press look for Sunset. Betcher walks it up. Off the leg of a Sunset player, and there's the whistle.
Get yourself open. Take the lead.
Ball under the floor, or under the basket for Sam Harris. Down low, Aiden Clark, give and go. Bryant scoots his way under the basket, reverse layup with the right hand, falls.
Aiden Clark just draws so much attention when he catches the ball that low. These defenders immediately collapse, and he's really, really effective at passing out of these double teams and finding the open cutters.
Vernon gets fouled at the basket, and now he's going line for 2. And Sam Harris looks to be in maybe a little bit of pain. Tell you what, man, South Eugene almost is guaranteed to be moving on to the second round, but in the last couple of minutes we've seen Josh Paul bleeding. We've seen Bryce Betcher maybe gimping around a little bit, and now we see Sam Harris covering his face. Nothing serious, but certainly not what you want here in the fourth quarter of a now 17-point game.
Yeah, exactly. You want to be healthy as you can. After a long season, it's hard. Nicks and knacks start to add up, but to keep the Axes at full strength, I think, up 19 at the moment, they have the chance to get their starters some rest soon enough and really solidify their chances to have a strong chance in the next round.
Betcher cuts to the basket. Full head of steam. Pass from Aiden Clark, and Bryce Betcher now works his way to the line. In and out on the first. And the second one falls. Bryce Betcher up to 16 points. Not sure what his season high is, but I feel like it's getting close. Tough shot from Ahrens. Levitating in the air and kisses it off the glass. Good defense from South Eugene. Edwards right corner. Scoots past his defender. Tries to throw it in the middle to Jarrett Bryant. Wrestle for the ball. Jump ball appears to be called. And it's going to shift possession. Sunset will get it.
We got it in quarter. There were 2 jump balls in the last quarter.
10th turnover of the day on South Eugene. Sunset with 12. 18-point lead for the Axe, 67 to 49. Josh Paul will head to the scores table with a bandaged left arm. Here's a step. Player that was going at the end of the first half. Haven't really seen much of him since. Can't get the jumper to fall. Now Sam Harris with numbers. Running downhill towards the basket. Left it too strong. Bryant clawing, scrapping for the rebound. No good. Here comes Ahrens the other way. Sunset. Pull-up jumper for Ahrens. And Betcher grabs it.
The intensity is still there for South Eugene, which is highly impressive and shows they are a highly motivated ball club. You know, in a game where they're up 18 with just under 6 minutes to go, they're still fighting. You see Jared Bryant, he's taking on 3 guys trying to grab an offensive rebound, and that just shows a lot about, you know, what we talked about before the quarter is South Eugene has been playing in stride for a long time now, and I think they're starting to notice that. When you get these accomplishments as a team, you know, you take notice, and I think they're really buying in and believe they have a legitimate shot.
And Ian, you're right. As South Eugene turns it over. You're right about South Eugene just continuing to play 100%, but at what point do you slow things down a little bit and play a little more conservative to try to avoid those turnovers and take some time off the clock?
Oh, I mean, I think you should, you know, probably around the 4.5, 4 minute mark, you could look to slow it down, get some half-court sets, and then 3.5 to 2.5 minutes, maybe look to get your starters some rest, get them a standing ovation in front of their last home game for a lot of these seniors, as we've talked about, and just get the opportunity some guy on the bench to play. As we saw, South Eugene's only played 7 guys tonight.
South Eugene's had a couple turnovers in a row. Zupanchik had an open look at 3, couldn't get it to fall. There's Betcher, jab step, working left baseline. Bounce pass, Josh Paul, 3's up, 3 is good. South Eugene starters filling up the scores book. Josh Paul now up to 13. Betcher has it stolen away as Step gets a step on Betcher, and Betcher caught in the air as Step heading the line for 2. Step makes the first free throw. Now a timeout taken by South Eugene. Now Ian, let's go ahead and talk about a potential second round matchup if South Eugene was to break through here. Winner would have Lake Oswego, who's really a perennial powerhouse down in the Portland area, or I should say up in the Portland area. Down doesn't really make sense, but I keep saying down. But Lake Oswego, a team who's had a great year. They were towards the top of the Three Rivers Conference and right there with West Lynn. It's a team that plays in one of the toughest conferences in the entire state, and yet they still earn the 7 seed. Looks like South Eugene's been really, really good tonight. They're up 20 points. They've done just about everything right besides that little run at the start of the second half. But what has South Eugene got to do to go up there and earn a victory on the road?
Year in and year out, Lake Oswego is a ball club that is just always respected and always never taken lightly, I should say. You know, South Eugene, like you said, they've played the right game tonight, and this has been a good tune-up game, and with a big test like Lake Oswego coming up. And I think for South Eugene to be effective in the next round, it's just going to be about playing at their pace, which is really, really effective. And I think Sam Harris does a great job of controlling the pace for this team and really getting guys involved. And what we've seen at Aiden Clark as a facilitator tonight is highly, highly impressive. And I just think, you know, like you said, they've been playing hot as of late, and if they can keep that rolling, they're going to be a tough team to beat. But Lake Oswego will have the home court advantage if the game is to be played there, and it should be a great game.
Yeah, of course, you never know what's going to go on or what is going on between Cleveland and Lake Oswego, so not necessarily assuming it's going to be Lake Oswego, but highly likely. Ball is out with Kella Step, and he'll knock down a 3.
He's had a really, really solid night, as Steph has.
18 points.
Yeah, he's going to have a good season next year as a senior on this Sunset team.
Game high for Sam Harris, now to 20. South Eugene continues to pour it on. Another three-point look from a step. Clark grabs the board. And now I think South Eugene got to start thinking about slowing it down to avoid some of those turnovers.
I saw a big clap from Jarrett Bryant there, really commanding the ball, said, all right, slow down, break it down.
Tell you what, one of the things South Eugene's done best tonight is cutting away from the ball, and they've also done a great job finding those cutters because they've had so many easy layups while they catch Sunset's defense sleeping. There's a step again.
You're totally right, Sean. The ability that Sunset has to play without the ball and really, like you said, move without the ball is highly, highly impressive. And I think for them to keep doing that, that's going to be a key, as they can play with Aiden Clark, and he draws so much attention down low that they can get a lot of open looks on the backdoor cuts.
Vernon makes his way to the basket, and Sunset continues to put up some points. Can't get any stops, but they continue to play some pretty solid offense. 76-59, South Eugene holds a 17-point lead late in the fourth quarter. 2:45 left to go in the fourth. Betcher muscles his way to an easy layup.
That was a grown man move right there from Bryce Betcher. Nobody was stopping him on his goal to the cup.
Step getting some shooting practice up. He's throwing up a lot of them, and now it's going to be a platoon swap for Sunset. And that's likely going to be the end of the season for a lot of these Sunset players who have had such great years and who have really done a great job of bringing Sunset to this point. A 12-12 season, fourth place in the Metro League. Not an easy task by any means. And now the key contributors that season all season long, are going to take a seat for some of the reserves.
Yeah, it's a good moment just to let these young guys get a taste of what this intensity of a playoff game is like, and really just kind of let these seniors, like you said, have one last moment to remember as high school players and just kind of cherish it with their teammates.
Now I think South Eugene's got to do the same.
See one guy at the scorer's table. I'm sure Hancock will send the rest of the subs shortly.
Harris behind the back on Child, steps back. Patient offense from South Eugene. Bryce Betcher scoots past his defender, and you don't get an easier bucket than that. Bryce Betcher manipulating a weak defense there. 20 for Bryce.
The versatility we've seen on offense from this South Eugene team tonight is really impressive as you approach the next round. And you don't have to rely on Sam Harris to get you all your buckets. We've really seen the versatility that Bryce Betcher, as he's about to lay it up, and looked like he wanted to dunk it right there. But
he did the smart thing. He got his hand above the basket, and then he made a last-second decision. He ended up just dropping it into the basket.
But yeah, back to my point. The ability is that, they can have a guy like Bryce Betcher or a guy like Jarrett Bryant we've seen over these last couple games, or even a Josh Paul. All these guys have the ability to go get you 15, 20 points on the night. And we've seen it. We've been lucky enough to see a night where they all can have really great games, and we've seen their full dominance on display tonight as they have 82 points on the scoreboard with just under a minute left to go.
82-59, 59.7 seconds left in the fourth quarter. This thing is all but over, and now looks like Dave Hancock is going to make some subs. It looks like he'll keep Bryce Betcher and Sam Harris in. He'll throw in Trey Nelson and Jonah Sanders, as well as Josh Wright from the looks of who's on the bench. And now Bryce Betcher is going to swap with someone. So can't speculate based on what's going on the bench. But regardless, South Eugene is going to move to 21-5 on the season. They're going to move to the second round, the same stage they made it to last year. Last year they ended up losing and really just a weird game. 48-29, they lost at Oregon City last season. This year, they're fully healthy, it appears. They have the senior class. They have their best team in years. They probably have their best year since 2014 and 15. And it's going to go all down. It's going to come down to that game on Saturday, most likely against Lake Oswego. It should be a huge one down there.
It should be a big game, to be treated as fans with a game that competitive and only the second round. That is something that you just love about the 6A playoffs in Oregon, is that you get 32 teams all fighting for one goal, and they really get to just go on display every night, and every night just give it their all. And we've seen both teams give it their all tonight, but the ability for South Eugene to just come in and have so many weapons be able to beat you and just simply be physically and imposing and just have the verticality to just alter Sunset's offense.
Look, the second round of the playoffs is great, but on one hand, you're going to have the 1 seed playing the 16 seed, and that's likely going to be a little bit more lopsided than the 10 seed in this case playing the 7 seed. That's going to be one of the best games in the entire second round, so that's got to be something South Eugene fans have to be looking forward to, going down to LO and playing a rather evenly matched team.
Come get it. Be strong and hold. Control.
Last couple ticks on the clock will run down, and South Eugene will punch its ticket to the round of 16 here in the OSA playoffs. There's the buzzer. Your final score, South Eugene wins it 82-61 over Sunset. South Eugene will head to the second round, and they'll play that game on Saturday. South Eugene moves to 21-5. Sunset ends their season at 12-13, right below 500. But South Eugene, really from start to finish, they came out really hot. They grabbed 25 points in that first quarter, 45 at halftime. They had a little bit of a slow start to the second half, but other than that one little stretch, they were pretty sensational all night. The stats say it. This team really spread the wealth all night, and several dominant performances. They found a way to manipulate this smaller Sunset team.
Yeah, I agree. Like I said just a second ago, South Eugene's just physically imposed their will and were just dominant on both ends of the ball. Aiden Clark doesn't have to block 10 shots. He alters so many shots, and that's really, he's kind of a defensive anchor for the South Eugene team. The way I really thought, though, I spoke on it all night, and I'm speaking on it right now. Sam Harris, the way he can just control the pace, whether he's going to run a fast break or he's going to slow it up and run in a half-court offense. The versatility the South Eugene X have on offense with so many guys that can go get you a bucket in different ways, it's really going to be effective in this next round. And like you said just a second ago, they showed it from start to finish, with the exception of that 8-0 run Sunset got at the beginning of the second half. South Eugene looked like a complete team all night and really like they're ready to go play in the second round.
And you mentioned just how much variability there was. It wasn't a one-man performance by any means from South Eugene, but there was a lot of dominant performances by this team. As we take a look at some of the stats from tonight's game, Bryce Betcher led the way with 22 points. Right behind him was Sam Harris. Right behind him was Jarrett Bryant. And then right behind him was Josh Paul. So Harris had 20 points. Jarrett Bryant with 19. And then Josh Paul with 13 points, while Bryce Betcher had 22 to lead the way. And then only two other scorers for South Eugene tonight. Aiden Clark with 5 points. And then Dylan Edwards had 3 points. And so, Ian, as we look at the star players from tonight, I mentioned those 4 players who really carried the scoring. Aiden Clark didn't have to do as much as he usually does tonight. Who really stood out to you as a key player the first round of these playoffs?
I thought the way